So you were part of the discussions and on the reform process with DCDVET that we started in 2023. You, as GIZ, and other donors, what were your learnings and what recommendations for other projects can you derive from this experience?
Yeah, when I arrived here, I realized that the donors are not really cooperating, and they are even advising our partner in different ways with different approaches. And there were for more than 20 years investment in the vet system, but the vet system was still not functioning. So I was wondering how to change this, and there was also a good opportunity because the government, which came in power 3 years ago, wanted to change something seriously. So my idea was to have an international partner on board, like DCDVET, and not to be only one international partner like GIZ or the SDC or ADA, to take more or less a lead in such a harmonization process, because I was convinced that we would have to work on two fields. We would have to harmonize the donor approaches to come to a more or less coherent advice to the partner. And we have to work with our partner ministry, the Ministry of Education here in Kosovo, to work on a vision. Where should we go? So in the last month we were speaking about the Ist-Zustand and the Soll-Zustand. So nobody discussed here the Soll-Zustand. There was no vision in the air about how the vet system in Kosovo should look like and how it should function. So that's why actually I approached DCDVET, and I approached DCDVET together after having discussed this with SDC and ADA here, and also we are working very closely with LuxDev. And so it came to this cooperation, and my first learning is that this approach was true. So this is what really was a good thing, to have DCDVET on board as an international partner of the DACH countries, because it is another standing you bring into the game. The second learning, what I would like to share with you is that we had a learning process. It was a learning experience for all of us, and we mixed it somehow up. So we brought the partners in immediately, and we came up with a vision about dual vet, how dual vet should look like at the end to make it functioning. And now we are at a point in the process where we see that, yeah, dual vet is only a part of the overall vet system in Kosovo. There are and there will remain a lot of profiles and learning approaches which would not be organized in dual. But us as international partners, we have to see the overall project, the overall system. So now the next steps would be to discuss with you and maybe other partners how we could take into consideration the whole vet system, and to include what we developed for the dual vet. So to work on the interface with other vet forms. Was it short-term? Was it directly labor market related? Was it only school-based, and so on? This needs to be discussed, so that now we have one big puzzle piece. If we talk about a puzzle, the vet system of Kosovo and of each country might be a nice puzzle. We have a big part of it now put together, but we have to go for the rest. Yeah, and this was a really good learning experience to make a big part of this puzzle, the dual part, because through this learning experience, I also saw that the international partners developed something like a team spirit, which makes that it's much easier now to work together, to come together, to talk about details, to talk about who is going to do what. and to take into consideration interests of another international partner and to deal better with it. So I think this is worth to go such a learning way to come closer together and to develop something like a team spirit and something like a joint commission. So we all commit now to a more functioning vet reform and to a more or less coherent advice to our partners. And I think this is a very, very nice learning outcome of this process. Yeah. Another learning would be, and this is also a recommendation, that we should not only work on a dimensional puzzle, we should also work on roadmap, how to get to this puzzle, how to put the pieces together, which piece must come first and which should come second. So for the future and also for other international partners who would like to start a similar learning process, it would be good to always think also the timeline. What needs to be discussed and to be materialized first and so on. Yeah, so these are maybe the learnings, the major learnings, and also already one recommendation.
Thank you so much. So the puzzle that you mentioned is in the case study that we will publish is called Strategic Framework. And this strategic framework for the reform and this joint approach that you mentioned was developed during the process. How useful do you find it for other projects, or do you think this can be transferred to other contexts as well? Because it came out from a discussion or from this series of discussions with all the international partners in Kosovo. Do you think other projects can use it?
Yes, I think so. So my experience from other countries is that it might be similar like here, that you have different approaches to the partner and the partner does not really know where to go in a reform. And so this strategic framework gave us a common understanding. So now we use the same wording. Now we have these elements and we are working on these elements. And these elements are already reflected in a dynamic action plan, which was developed with international support by our partner ministry. And so this is like a lighthouse. Now we know where we can go and what we are talking about. And this helps us to go on more coherent with our activities. So I would recommend strongly to have such a strategic framework. And yes, of course, it must be approved by the partner. It must be the partner strategic framework. And then, yeah, we have been discussing very theoretically. It has to be broken down into laws, into bylaw. We are now in the lucky situation here in Kosovo that we are just developing or supporting our partner to develop a new law on vet. And this also would help us to tackle all the points which were discussed and which are laid down in the puzzle piece and in the strategic framework to bring them into the regulation.
Thank you very much. So for everybody who is now interested in the details of the strategic framework and the fields of actions defined there, can be adapted. You can have a look at it in the case study, and there you can find some guiding questions which would have to be adapted to the context of each project and each country. But it's a starting point from your point of view, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.